Imagine an animal that can die of starvation even with a completely full stomach of food, or a creature that once a week voluntarily descends right into the jaws of jaguars, risking its life just to go to the bathroom. Meet the sloth. Looking at it, it seems like this is the slowest, weakest, and at first glance, the most defenseless creature in the harsh Amazon jungle. Most people just think of them as cute, clumsy, and very silly lovers of sleep. But what if we told you that their famous laziness is actually a brilliant survival strategy honed over thousands of years? Today, we'll take a look into the secret life of these amazing creatures. We'll find out what incredible secrets their bodies hide, examine a deadly habit that baffles even experienced biologists, and understand how the planet's ultimate slacker managed to outsmart nature itself and survive by literally doing nothing. Make yourself comfortable. Let's begin. Let's bust the main myth right away. Sloths aren't actually lazy. If you ate the way they do, you wouldn't want to move a finger either. It's all about their diet. Mostly, they eat the leaves of the cecropia tree. This greenery is very tough, contains almost no calories, and is full of natural toxins. There's so little energy in it that nature had to turn the sloth into an extreme energy-saving machine. Their metabolism works 2 or even 3 times slower than that of any other mammal of similar size. Digesting and neutralizing the toxins from just one such meal can take a sloth up to an entire month. Just think about it. A sloth's stomach is constantly stuffed to the brim, and this huge, slowly fermenting mass of greenery inside makes up almost a third of the animal's own body weight. And here lies the paradox. The sloth is a mammal, but it's extremely poor at regulating its body temperature, relying instead on the warmth of its environment. If prolonged tropical rains suddenly hit the jungle and it gets chilly, the sloth's body temperature also drops sharply. Because of this hypothermia, the microflora in its huge stomach, the very same heat-loving bacteria that break down the tough cecropia leaves, simply stop functioning and die off en masse. Without them, the digestive process comes to a complete halt, and the animal can literally die of starvation with a stomach stuffed to the brim with food. The body simply can no longer extract a single drop of energy from it. If your top speed is just a couple of meters per minute, escaping danger is impossible. The main enemies of the sloth in the treetops are the giant harpy eagles. These feathered predators have fantastic eyesight and react instantly to any movement in the foliage. Since the sloth can neither run away nor fight back, nature has given it the perfect invisibility cloak. The fact is, the fur of this animal is arranged in a completely unique way. Each hair has deep longitudinal microcracks that act like sponges, absorbing moisture during tropical rains. And in this warm, moist environment, special green algae called Trichophilus settle, algae that are found nowhere else in the wild, only on sloths. As the algae grow, they give the fur a characteristic greenish tint. When the sloth freezes in the crown of a cecropia tree, it blends in with the foliage and becomes literally invisible, even to the sharp-eyed harpy eagle. But the algae are not the whole story. The sloth is a true walking ecosystem. Hundreds of insects live in its thick fur, including entire colonies of special sloth moths. And they're not just hiding there. These moths act like tiny gardeners. Their presence in the fur increases the nitrogen level, which serves as the perfect fertilizer for the rapid growth of those very same camouflage algae. The sloth itself, licking its fur, regularly eats some of this green harvest, receiving valuable fats, a luxurious bonus to its meager and harsh diet. Ideal natural symbiosis. In the high tree crowns, these animals are relatively safe from ground predators. But here, it's important to make one crucial clarification. In the wild, there are 2 main families of sloths, 2-toed and 3-toed. By the way, there's an interesting biological detail related to their names. When we say 2-toed sloth, this refers only to its front limbs. On its hind legs, it actually has 3 toes as well. Their closest relatives in nature are anteaters. They belong to the same ancient order called Xenarthra. But let's get back to survival, because the difference in behavior between these 2 families is enormous. Two-toed sloths prefer not to take risks and most often relieve themselves right from high branches, staying safe. But their three-toed relatives behave completely differently. About once a week, they undertake the most dangerous journey of their lives, beginning a long and painfully slow descent to the very base of the tree trunk. Once on the ground, the three-toed sloth becomes a completely defenseless target for jaguars, pumas, and ocelots. According to statistics, more than half of all predator attacks occur at this very moment. Why take such a colossal risk? Just to go to the bathroom. Because of their extremely slow digestion, during one such trip, the animal gets rid of huge reserves of waste and can lose up to a third of its body weight. But why can't the three-toed sloth do the same as its two-toed relative? Why go down to meet certain death? The answer lies in that very complex ecosystem on the animal's body. Scientists believe that this deadly descent is vital for the reproduction of the pyralid moth that lives in its fur. When the sloth descends to the roots of the tree, female moths leave its fur and lay their eggs in the fresh dung. It is there that the larvae feed, grow, and turn into adult moths, after which they fly high up into the tree canopies to settle once again in the sloth's thick fur. The cycle comes full circle. The three-toed sloth literally risks its own life to preserve the moth population. In return, these insects fertilize the algae on its body, providing the animal with perfect green camouflage and extra nutrients. This is one of the most complex, fragile, and astonishing symbioses in the wild. It seems that this animal is an absolute victim of circumstance, but the sloth has a couple of features that leave biologists at a loss. The first is their phenomenal, quite literally, death grip. A sloth is capable of hanging from a branch high above the ground even after its own death. The secret lies in the unique anatomy of their limbs. Unlike most mammals, sloths do not need to tense their muscles to grip with their claws. Their natural, completely relaxed state is a grip that is locked tight. The flexor tendons work like a mechanism, literally latching onto the branch. To unclench their paw, the animal has to deliberately expend energy, but to hang on, they do not. That's why they never fall down, even during the deepest sleep. The second fact completely shatters all stereotypes about their clumsiness. It turns out that sloths are excellent swimmers. In the tropical forests of the Amazon and Central America, seasonal flooding occurs regularly, and the ability to move quickly through water is vital for them. In water, these clumsy creatures suddenly become graceful and move 3 times faster than they do on land. But the most astonishing thing is their ability for apnea, that is, holding their breath. A sloth can stay underwater without air for up to 40 minutes. But how does a sloth manage to surpass real marine mammals? The secret, once again, lies in their extreme control over metabolism. When diving into water, the animal is able to slow its heart rate by almost 90%. Blood flow is redirected, and the need for oxygen drops to the absolute biological minimum. This ability makes sloths some of the most unusual record holders for breath holding among mammals, and a stomach filled with gases from digesting leaves helps the sloth stay afloat, acting like a life preserver. By the way, since we're talking about breathing, another paradoxical question arises. The animal spends most of its life hanging upside down from branches. As we have already established, a sloth's stomach is constantly filled with tough leaves and can make up to a third of its total body mass. Any other mammal in such a position would simply suffocate. Under the influence of gravity, this colossal weight of internal organs would inevitably compress the diaphragm and lungs, making every breath agonizing. But zoologists have discovered a remarkable anatomical feature in sloths. Their internal organs, the stomach, liver, and kidneys, are firmly attached to the lower ribs by numerous fibrous adhesions. This connective tissue acts like strong biological seatbelts, preventing the heavy organs from shifting and pressing on the lungs. Thanks to this structure, the sloth saves up to 13% of its total energy simply on the process of breathing. But adaptation to a life spent constantly upside down has changed not only the animal's internal organs, but also the very structure of its outer coverings. If you look at a dog, a cat, or a monkey, their fur always grows from the back toward the belly. With sloths, everything is exactly the opposite. Their hair follicles are oriented so that the fur grows from the belly toward the back, forming a kind of parting right down the chest. Since a sloth hangs upside down, this unusual direction of fur growth works as a perfect natural drainage system. Rainwater simply rolls down the hairs without seeping in deeply, leaving the skin completely dry. This is a critically important mechanism for protection against hypothermia, which, as we remember, can completely stop their digestion and lead to death. If you look closely at how a sloth surveys its surroundings, you can notice one detail. It is able to turn its head 270 degrees, just like an owl. There is a strict rule in anatomy. Almost all mammals on Earth, from the tiny mouse to the giant giraffe, have exactly 7 cervical vertebrae. But the structure of sloths breaks even this rule, and here once again, we need to remember the difference between species. Two-toed sloths can have anywhere from 5 to 7 cervical vertebrae, while three-toed sloths have as many as 9. It is these additional joints in the neck that allow them to almost completely turn their heads backward. Why do they need this? Once again, the answer lies in total energy conservation and camouflage. To check if a stalking jaguar or harpy eagle is behind them, a sloth doesn't need to turn its whole body, waste precious calories, or rustle the leaves and give away its presence. It's enough to simply turn its head 270 degrees while remaining completely still. But even the phenomenal ability to look in all directions doesn't always save them from trouble. The tropical jungle is a harsh environment. Sloths regularly sustain serious injuries. They can fall from a branch, get hurt in a fight with their own kind, or survive a predator attack with deep wounds. In the humid tropical forest, where bacteria multiply instantly, any open wound threatens severe infection. However, biologists have recorded a remarkable medical phenomenon. Sloth wounds almost never become inflamed and heal with incredible speed. Their bodies successfully cope with infections that would kill another animal in just a few days. The secret to this phenomenon once again lies in their unique fur. That very micro-ecosystem of algae and insects we mentioned earlier holds yet another secret. Scientists have discovered dozens of unique strains of fungi and bacteria in sloth's fur that produce extremely powerful natural antibiotics. These microorganisms aggressively suppress any pathogens or parasites that try to enter the animal's body through damaged skin. Today, researchers from around the world are closely studying sloth fur, hoping to develop new classes of medicines based on it that can combat resistant superbugs. It turns out that behind the slow and seemingly completely vulnerable appearance lies a creature whose potential science is only beginning to unravel. When you put all these facts together, it becomes clear. The sloth is not a biological mistake or a cosmic joke, but an absolute genius of survival. A creature that has proven to win the toughest race on the planet, sometimes you just need to stop and not run anywhere at all. Friends, thank you for watching this episode to the end. Be sure to share your thoughts and leave a like if you enjoyed this journey. And see you soon in new episodes of The World of Wildlife.